All right, guys, we're back with section 3 of chapter 11, simplifying rational expressions. So previously, you simplified expressions involving the quotient of monomials, and now we're going to identify values excluded from the domain of a rational expression and simplify what are called rational expressions. And that's our vocabulary, rational expression. And so let's talk about what that means. The expression mv squared divided by r is an example of a rational expression. A rational expression is an algebraic fraction whose numerator and denominator are polynomials. Since division by 0 is undefined, the polynomial in the denominator cannot be 0. Okay, so for example, let's state the excluded values for this rational expression. This is rational because it's technically a polynomial divided by a polynomial. Remember, a number is a one-term polynomial. This is a binomial because it has two terms. Okay, so it's -8 divided by r squared minus 36. So the excluded values are values for which the denominator equals 0. So we set the denominator equal to 0. And if you notice, it's a difference of squares, so it factors into r minus 6, r plus 6 equals 0. Then from the zero product property, we can set each factor equal to 0. Solving for r, we get r equals 6 or -6. Now, I will say that you can solve this one, r squared minus 36 equals 0. If you add 36 to both sides, then take the square root, you would get r equals plus or minus 6. That's another way to do it, okay? But remember, when you solve an equation and you take the square root, you have to account for the positive or negative root. So that's the alternate way to solve that particular one. What about n squared divided by n squared plus 4n minus 5? Well, to get the excluded values, you set the denominator equal to 0, and then we can try to factor this. So I'm looking for factors of -5 that add up to positive 4. Well, factors of -5 that add up to a positive 4, one would have to be positive, one would have to be negative, and the larger one would have to be the positive one since they add to a positive. The only factors are 5 and -1, and those do add up to 4, so I can factor this as n minus 1 times n plus 5. Then again, zero product property, you set each factor equal to 0. Solve for n in each case, and you get that n cannot equal 1 or 5. Now, I don't know if you thought of this or if this became a problem for you, but right here we got n equals 5 and n equals -5, and then we said it can't be those. The reason is because we're trying to figure out what makes the denominator 0, and that's when n does equal 5 and n does equal, when n does equal 1 and when n does equal -5. But those are the specific numbers that make the denominator 0, so those are the numbers that would be excluded, and that's why we then say n cannot equal 1 or -5. Okay, here's a couple for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, we're back. So the first one, the excluded values occur when you have x squared minus 81 equals 0. And that's a difference of squares, and it could factor into x minus 9, x plus 9. Then you set each factor equal to 0. So you would get x equals 9, or x equals -9. And the excluded values are x equals plus or minus 9. Now you could have done this the other way, where you add 81 to the other side, take the square root, and x equals plus or minus 9, and then you'd get the same answers as we did previously. Okay? Second one, a squared plus 6a plus 8 equals 0. Okay, I need factors of 8 that add to positive 6. So you could have 1 and 8. Those add to 9. You could have 2 and 4, and those add to 6. So those are the ones we want to use. So it'd be a plus 2 times a plus 4 equals 0. So then you set each factor to 0. A plus 2 equals 0. A plus 4 equals 0. So A equals -2 or A equals -4. And the excluded values are A equals -2 and A equals -4. Okie dokie. All right. So here's a real world example. Find the height of a cylinder that has a volume of 821 cubic inches and a radius of 7 inches. Round to the nearest tenth. So you have a rational expression with two variables, V and R. Substitute 821 for V and 7 for R and simplify. So you would have V equals pi over R squared. So the volume is 821. Pi times R squared, and the R was 7. So you plug that in. And just make sure, if you're entering this into the calculator, you do 821 divided by pi 7 squared. Make sure you put those in parentheses or brackets. Now you might be asking, where did this come from? Well, the volume formula is pi r squared h. Now if I'm trying to find the height of the cylinder, I want to solve for h, so I want to divide both sides by pi r squared. Like this. Then you would have h equals v over pi r squared. And then we plugged in 821 for v and 7 for r and solve for h. When you simplify, you get 5.3. So the height of the cylinder is about 5.3 inches. Excuse me. Now we can use estimation to see whether our answer is reasonable, and just round your numbers. 821 is about 800. Pi is about 3, and 7 squared is about 50. When you multiply those out and divide, you get about 5. So our solution is reasonable. Find the height of a cylinder that has a volume of 710 cubic inches and a diameter of 18 inches. So the height equals V divided by pi r squared. In this one, they said the volume is equal to 710 and the diameter is equal to 18. Now here's where you have to be careful. The formula uses radius, but they gave you the diameter. Remember, radius is the distance from the middle of the circle to the edge. The diameter is the distance all the way across the circle that goes through the middle. So just remember that the radius is half the diameter, so the radius is equal to 9. So you would have 710 divided by pi times 9 squared. And that comes out to be about 2.8 inches. Okie doke. All right. Well, that's it for this video. Please continue on to the next one, and we'll see you there.